If you don't have a sales funnel, if you're not getting leads every single week from your website, if you're not having people call from your Google profile, it doesn't really matter how great you are at sales. Nobody's calling you.
Hey guys, Christian here at TaxProMarketer. I've got my colleague Noah with me here as well. Noah, say hello.
Good to have you guys here.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. We want to talk about a really important part of your business today, and that's your sales funnel. And that's the process that you have in place for kind of bringing in new leads and converting those leads to customers. It sounds obvious that this is something, a marketer would talk about, because my job is to bring leads to our clients for them to close. But commonly what we found is in the baton pass from marketing to our client and their sales process, there's a wild variety of systems or lack thereof. Some people have robust sales systems and protocols and teams. Some people don't. We want to talk about what we recommend, what we bring to the table, and what we think would help all of you in terms of a general framework. So we are digital marketers, which obviously the marketing part of that, it does really marry itself quite well with sales, right? So marketing and sales in every company need to work together. They need to speak to each other. And it's very common that that does not happen. It's very common that marketing does work and is putting forth effort and initiative in different directions, that the sales side of things is just like, wait, what are you doing? What am I supposed to do? What's happening? And so I want to talk through kind of what we again recommend and what we put in place. So here's the 4 steps. Here's the 4 steps to me of a sales process, and Noah and I are going to kind of just pick them apart one by one. The first part of your sales pipeline is getting visible. And this would definitely be something where it's a sales funnel. That's what we're talking about, but it is marketing. How do you get found? How do you show up? Where do people find you, either by virtue of they're driving by your office and they saw a sign that said CPA or tax preparation service or accountant? That's one way you can get found. Digitally, obviously there's a lot of ways to get found there too, so we'll talk about those. The first step of your sales process is, where are you getting found? The second stage of your sales process is, what does it look like for someone who finds you to take the next step? What does producing engagement with your interested leads, if that's a thing at all, look like? Do you have a process for saying, hey, you're in the right place, here's what I need from you? I would tell you most people don't have a strategy for step 2, and we're going to talk about that today as well. Step 3 is, okay, I've found a lead. I have put a system in place for them to tell me their problem and to create engagement, to convert traffic. But that's not the end of the sales process, right? Now we're into step 3, and that's follow-up, nurturing, engaging beyond the initial conversion, right? Continuing to build trust. We'll talk about that. And then finally, 4th, at the bottom of the sales funnel, what does your true baton pass to a salesperson, whether it's a saleswoman or a salesman on your team, or if it's yourself, what does it look like for you to start to get people on your calendar that makes sense, have a clear proposal with reminders? Hey, I'm going to go over this thing. We're going to look at it, and then I'm going to follow up with you, like a multi-step sales process or a single step, one-time close process, your proposals, creating clarity, and following up with those people who are interested. So those are the 4 steps. Just to go kind of briefly through them again, and then Noah, let's dive right in. You need to get found. You need to have a plan for producing engagement. You need to follow up with those leads, and you need to have a plan at the bottom for how do you actually get them over the line, both from just tactics and software, and then also strategy on the sales call itself. So Noah, shall we begin?
Hey, let's jump in. It's a lot we're going to cover in this time. And please know, we're going to cover a lot of this stuff at a pretty high level. Okay. I mean, we could really get into the nitty gritty behind all of this. So understand, we're going to hit big points. You're probably going to have more questions. If it would be helpful to talk to us, talk to tpm.com. Find a time, book a time on our calendar. We are happy to get more into the details of this. But Christian, let's kind of hit it off with, how do you get seen? How do you get found?
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so the first step of getting found to someone that's in digital marketing is, how do you get on page one of Google? How do you show up where your leads are going and finding, one option, one group that kind of stands out? How do you get in front of that audience? I want to be clear that this is not the only way to get found, right? There are lots of ways that I won't be going over today to get yourself visible online. And we'll maybe mention some of those, but we are going to exclusively kind of focus today on Google as the main source. But social media comes to mind. You can get found by social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's all true. It's not where the lion's share of traffic is going. The lion's share of traffic in our industry goes to Google still. AI is disrupting that. We talked about AI actually last week on our presentation. So if you want to go back and listen to like our AI framework, I'd encourage you to do so. But I just want to go over, let's see here. I might need to grant permissions to myself here. There we go. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I'm not going to do that then. I'm just going to have to talk through this with you guys because my screen share on this new software is being wonky. But I want you to go ahead and, for the exercise's sake, I want you to pull up a browser, and in your market, whether you're in Kansas City or San Diego, Seattle, St. Louis, New York, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, wherever you are, I want you to do a search for a keyword like accounting service, CPA, tax preparer, bookkeeper, tax resolution specialists, payroll services, etc. Whatever it is that you want to rank for, I want you to do a search. And what you're going to see are three things. There we go. Noah's got our back. Thank you, Noah.
I gotcha, Christian.
My software permissions, there was like, you got to quit the software and reopen, and it's like, not doing that. We'll figure that out later. But so Noah's down in the San Antonio area, and we've got ads at the top. Ads at the top still. Keep on going. Those are sponsored results. Now we're into the map section. There is one ad there. You see Carl with his business at the top. That is sponsored. The other three are organic. So the first thing to say is that where you get found, how you get traffic into your sales pipeline, to me, is this page. It's not the only way. Social media is viable. You can get leads from your email marketing. You could do cold prospecting. You could be posting on LinkedIn and using the Sales Navigator. You can do lots of things to get leads. This is not the only way, but this is the main place that every CPA, accountant, and tax preparer should not neglect. If your marketing strategy is neglecting Google, I think that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit, because this is where people go. So this area is the first area that's free on a Google page. You've got three businesses, and they're showing up there. You've got Richard's business, Flint, and CJ, you see on the screen. Those three businesses are there not by accident. They're there because they have a Google business profile with good reviews and a website that's well built. In a major market like San Antonio, of course, like the biggest markets, LA, New York, Chicago, Dallas, and really almost any market, mid-tier, large, you're going to need to have a well-built website and a Google page with reviews just to keep it really high level, as Noah said, to get here. You've got to have reviews. You've got to have the page to begin with. You've got to have a website that doesn't kind of have generic boilerplate content. And then Noah, if you scroll down just a little bit, we've also got websites here, right? So let's look at Richard Garcia. So there's Richard Garcia's website, and then let's go up a little bit. Back to the map. There's Richard Garcia again. So Richard Garcia, well done. You're showing up on page one in two places. That's the goal. The goal is to make that the reality. And I'm not going to pick on Richard Garcia, but I'm just going to assume he's doing a little bit more than everyone else. He's not doing everything that he should do. And that's really normal. That's not to pick on him, but let's just maybe pull up Richard Garcia's website real quick, if we can. I'm not trying to pick on you, Richard. If you're watching this, I am for you. I'm on your team. But I do want to highlight something that is kind of endemic. This website is not what's making him rank. This is a very standard website from one of the major website builders in our industry. There's a bunch of cheap, affordable website builders. This thing has, I'm sure, some okay keyword targeting, but like, this design is old. It's not necessarily the most modern design. It's definitely from like a 10 to 15 year ago kind of best practices strategy. I think everyone can agree. Good job, Richard. but there's room for improvement here. Do you want to know why Richard is ranking? Noah, can you back out?
Yeah.
Richard is ranking because he has 114 reviews on Google. That's it. So there is, whenever I talk to people, and if you're in San Antonio, I want this to be you, Richard, I don't want to pick on you. We could work with you as well. But the idea is there's always room for someone to rank for free on Google because of how their website's built and because of their Google strategy. We can work with someone and help them get here because what I like to say is, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. It's actually a saying that the former owner of TaxProMarketer used to say, and I've latched onto it. So I want to. It's not his. It's Erasmus, who was a philosopher from the Netherlands. But just to give credit where it's due, that came from Nate, and Nate, had a lot of good one-liners, and that's one of them. And it's the idea that very few people have their eyes open at all, and if you can just open one eye within our industry on the kind of area of digital marketing, you're going to do well. Richard has 114 reviews. Well done, Richard. He probably
So
has way more clients than that. Go ahead, Noah, jump in.
if I could jump in on this a little bit, Christian. So this is what we call marketing, and we will make a little bit of a divergence when it comes to ranking. That there is the marketing bucket and there's the advertising bucket, and sometimes they get lumped into being the exact same thing. And while the end result, the end goal of both of these is the same, client acquisition, the way in which you get there is very different. I don't want this to turn into a 90-minute presentation because easily it could be. But what we're talking about here is organic, meaning you're not paying for it, ranking. You're not paying to show up in the Google Maps section. Now, Carl Muniz here is sponsored. He's paying to show up here. Notice he has 23 Google reviews. Richard's got 114. But let's look at a different keyword search, Christian. Here's a different one, maybe a little bit because, it's right now we're going live. It's February 3rd. We're right in the middle of the tax season. Business tax professional, San Antonio, Texas. Well, here we see some more ads. Now, here we've got somebody else. Accelerated Tax Solutions, 54.8-star Google reviews. Solid. Not upset about that at all. Like that's a solid, Google review standing. It's not 114, but it's also not 2. Which probably a lot of people listening to this, if you're honest, you probably have 0 to 10 Google reviews, and most of them are probably at least 6 months to a year old. Probably. That's a guess, but it's a pretty educated guess, having done this for a long time and talked to a lot of people. This is great. These are called LSA, local service ads. These are great. This is a great strategy, but you have to understand, these people are paying to show up in this section. Now you come down a little bit. Hey, look at this. We got Carl showing up organically in this section. We got Richard showing up again. So we see some continuity between what people are ranking for. And when you want to rank, we're not talking about showing up for 1 or 2 keywords. We're talking about showing up for hundreds of keywords. Because there is so much variance. Someone may search bookkeeper, accountant, best accountant near me, accounting professional, CPA. There are dozens and dozens of keyword variants. And in order to get ranked here organically in this Google Maps section and in the website section, it has to do with how is your website coded? Active keyword optimization and maintenance. Consistent blogging to your website. It can't be generic. It can't be boilerplate, but then you throw in other things like Google reviews. Remember, people, we're working with an algorithm here. Google doesn't actually know if Carl is a better CPA than Richard. Google does not know. All Google knows is what is told to it. So when you build out this ecosystem in the way that the algorithm wants it built out, all the things we just talked about, and then you start sprinkling in consistency in Google reviews, the algorithm goes, hey, people are saying really good things about this company. They have their keywords built out to match for this thing. We should rank them higher because at the end of the day, intrinsically, as a society, we trust Google. Probably too much. Philosophical conversation for a different day. But we trust Google. We trust that when we search for a thing, Google's going to give us the most credible results. So it's Google's job to say who's the most trustworthy, who's the most reliable, who's the most credible, who's saying the best things about this business. That's why Google, again, high level, that's why Google is going to rank some of these businesses over another one. But at the end, if you're not ranking, if you don't get seen in this search, most people are not going to go beyond this page. Most
No,
people are not going to click down here where it says more businesses. You could, but
but you don't.
guess what?
No one
You've
does.
got Carl, Richard, and this person. But then look, you've got Business Masters, 45 Google reviews. Look at this one,
Hey,
454 reviews, but they're not outranking them.
Adam down there is a great example where he's got reviews, but look at what he doesn't have. He doesn't have a website.
Yep.
So there's people here that, again, they usually have more than 40 happy clients, but getting happy clients is not a given. Let me say that differently. Getting happy clients to leave a 5-star review is not a given, right?
Yeah.
Many of you experience that you have 500, 1,000 clients, 600 clients, whatever you have, but they're not going out of their way to say, golly, I love Noah Jenks CPA.
Yeah.
He's just the best, and I use him every year. And that should be normal. It's just not. You have to ask for it. And this is about getting traffic into your sales pipeline. But let's transition. Noah, I sent you 2 links if you can pull up.
Sure.
I want to talk about, let's pretend you have solved your traffic problem. Let's pretend you're getting traffic. You're on page 1, you're getting found. And this is some of you. Some of you that we talked to are getting traffic. And you have what we like to call a conversion problem. You're getting leads to your Google page or your website, and there's not a clear plan for how to turn them from traffic to lead. This is an example of a client site, and then I'm going to show you actually our sales landing page, just to kind of show you some different styles. One way of doing this, and this is, kind of our standard play for our clients, is to put out in front of the lead real clearly in this above the fold section of the website. This is what I want you to do next. So yes, headline on the left. Are you tired of a tax pro who only comes around in April? We provide proactive support for solo S Corp owners all year long. So you have clarity of who they serve. They don't serve everyone. They really want to work with S Corp owners. You have pain. We're solving for pain here that people only hear from their accountant or tax preparer once a year. And then we have, how can we help you? And so Noah, if you can just click through, you don't have to submit it.
Before I do that real quick, Christian,
please.
let me just illustrate a point. Let me come back to, I feel bad that we're picking on Richard so much here, but
I'm sorry,
sure
Richard, but we're going to go there.
And hey, Richard, again, if you're listening to this, give me a call, bud. Would love to have a conversation. Hey, I'm glad he has a website, but let's look at this website. There is so much going on. There is so much noise. There's so much distraction. There is no clear. Does he have get a free consultation hidden over here on the right-hand side, buried? Yeah, but he also has get to know us, get help, get information, get in touch. Get what? I don't know what I'm supposed to get from you. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. And you have, with a website, with our kind of squirrel brain society, you have between 5 to 7 seconds statistically to get someone to do something, or they will go somewhere else. They will click through. You will lose the prospect. And with this website, I think we can agree. I don't know. Am I supposed to get a free consultation? Am I supposed to get an email update? Am I supposed to read all of this jargon? No one is ever going to read all of that information on your website. Well, your website has to do 2 things. It has to rank really well in a Google search, and it has to convert. That is what your website should do. Anything else is a digital business card. Come back
and
here.
People want their website to have everything they do, all the information. Here's everything. And if someone finds your site, they have a problem, and you just need to grab them by the hand and Noah, keep going. I'm going to give you the mic. What do we do?
We come here and we tell them what to do. How can I help you? You have a problem. We get it. We can help you with that. Now, if they scroll around on the site, can they go to the services and resources and blog, and can they scroll down? Yeah, of course they can do that. Of course, it's a website. But notice how even right here, break. Notice how we have that break right there. See that little white line down at the bottom? We keep this clean. We keep this hidden. We keep this very obvious that when they come to your website, how do you need help? Business tax planning? Sure. Well, what do you need help with? I have a regular W-2. I'm self-employed. Anything else we can help with? Maybe. Let's schedule a phone call. Let's go through email. Let's do that. Great. Name, email, phone number. And I'm not going to do this because I don't want to mess with our client's lead flow form. But after that, it's going to take them to his calendar. I can tell you like, because we talk to our clients, Kyle is getting form fills daily. He's getting these on a daily basis right now because it's built to convert. He dominates his market. He has close to 80 Google reviews. He ranks on page 1 for close to, I think it's like 70 or 80 keywords on page 1. And then he has a website that's built to convert.
Yep. This is a leak in most people's bucket. If you're getting traffic, that's step 1 of a sales pipeline. If you're getting traffic, you then need to think about, how do I take that traffic and make them do something? For us, this is, the questions change client to client, but this is the primary way. And this is an orientation that I think most people don't have. Your website can have information for current clients. Your website can have a portal. Your website can have scheduling for current clients. Your website can have software and, helpful, PDFs to download, like here's the new tax organizer, or here's my, all the current government forms that you need, all of your up-to-date, blah, 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 blah. Your website should not, in my opinion, first be about managing existing clients. It should be about starting conversations with new clients. Now, again, that resources section, I don't know if Kyle has it, but your resources section could say client login or client resources or just resources, and can have calculators, what to bring, tax organizers, schedule a call if you're an existing client. That's fine. But I want to prioritize new leads. I want to speak to them clearly and help them know how they can get help from you. And so that's this survey. Now, Noah, can you flip over to the other landing page I sent you?
Yeah. And let me hit one more thing just while we're here, Christian.
Please.
The other thing is most people major in the minors when it comes to your website. They focus so much on, they have to see my services. They have to see, nobody cares. And again, I know I'm being blunt and maybe too much so, but nobody's coming to your website to find all about you. Your website will be focused philosophically in 2 different ways. It's either going to be egocentric, meaning it's all about you and the business. Here's my services, my details, what I provide. Or it's going to be prospect centric. How can I help you? What do you need? That's how we build websites. We build websites to say, how can we help you? Because you came to my website because you have a problem. Now, should I still have products and services and blogging? Yeah, all these service pages. Yeah, but people, this is about SEO. This is about ranking. All of these pages help get you ranked in Google search and AI search. We're blogging to our clients' websites every single week, but these blog posts are not about someone coming and reading your blog. How many times have you gone to your electrician's website and read his blog? Never. Because that's not what we do it for. This is about Google ranking. This is about AI ranking. This is about getting seen in ChatGPT. That's what this stuff is about. But your website, your main landing page, this is about the client. This is about the prospect. This is about converting a lead. And if you don't have that, your website's probably not going to convert.
Yep. Pull up that next landing page.
I thought I did. I clicked stop sharing. I clicked the wrong button. Sorry
Not
about
a problem.
that. I was seamlessly, that transition was going to be so seamless.
You almost
I was
nailed
just
it.
going to
It's
pop
so
right
close.
over here, and you were just going to pick up the mic, and look at that. We'll edit
It's
that
almost the
other part out.
Olympics. I'm going to give you like an 8.5 on that landing.
You're generous.
That's
You're
generous.
kind.
Yes. Okay, so I wanted to show you our landing page just to talk through the differences of how you can produce engagement. So if you want to sign up with us, you can go to this page yourself. Go to taxproleads.com. taxproleads.com. We do work with CPAs, accountants, bookkeepers, but we're called TaxProMarketer, so that's the name of our landing page, taxproleads.com. When you get there, instead of a pre-qualification survey, we have first this form, which is name, email, phone number, and approving the terms of agreement and consenting to get SMS text, etc. And Noah, can you work through this process? We'll just have to delete the lead on the back end, but I want to show these people how this flows just as an idea. So instead of getting questions about their problem on the front end, what we're going to do is just get their information and get them scheduled. And then, pick whatever time you want.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick something a little farther out.
Yes, not today.
Not today. Mess up my calendar.
And now we're going to go to a follow-up page that is a micro survey, if you will. Now, here's when you would use this. If you want to decrease the friction in your conversion process, you can skip the pre-qualification and just get their information and get them scheduled. And then ask for an optional but follow up. Hey, tell me a little bit more so I can prep for our meeting. This is another way to handle your leads. Get their information and get them on your calendar, and then ask them what they need help with later. There's no one right way. Marketing and this engagement step is about increasing and reducing friction. Sometimes you need to increase friction when you want a really specific lead. You don't want to talk to everyone. You're not a generalist. That's okay. Ask questions on the front end to pre-qualify and vet people. But if you want anyone and everyone and you want to just get leads in the door and you have a good sales process, it's not a bad idea to go for name, email, phone number, calendar, micro survey. There are some clients that prefer this. There are some clients that prefer the former, where they're doing a longer pre-qual on the front end. They both get filled out. Obviously, the more friction you create, the more survey questions you put in place, you're not going to get everyone that fills it out completely. And there is value in getting your traffic's name, email, and phone number before they've scheduled or whatever. Because if they kind of abandon cart, if you will, well, at least I've got their info, right? At least I've got their information. They didn't schedule with me or they didn't fill out the micro survey, but I've got them as a lead. If you want volume and leads more quickly, sometimes you want to reduce the friction. If you want pre-qualification and more specific types of leads, it is appropriate to use the longer survey. It's not better, it's just different. And
Well,
that is, again, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Christian, I cut you off.
Please, please.
It's just engagement, and there's not one right way to engage. I did just take a look. That client that we just looked at a minute ago, he's gotten 7 form fills in the last 4 days. 7 pre-qualified business tax leads in the last couple of days. One of them just came in 2 hours ago. Okay. It works. When you make it easy for someone to reach out, when you have low points of friction, when you get seen, when you have a strong reputation, and when you have ease of use for them to convert, for them to get you their information, guess what? Your business grows.
Right. There you go. So we've gotten found, and we've talked about 2 ways to produce real engagement. It's either a longer survey on the front to pre-qualify people, or it's go for volume. I'm ranking, I'm showing up on Google. I just want to get people in the door, get them scheduled. I've got a big sales team. I've got a process I feel comfortable with. That's awesome. Now you've got them either filling out a survey and you know what they need help with, but they're not scheduled, or they're on your calendar. Now we need to talk about stage 3, and that's nurture. This is not the end, whether they're scheduled or whether you just have them as a lead. This is kind of where the magic is. The magic is in from the time they engage with you to the time you actually get on the phone with them or on a Google Meet or on a Zoom call to close them. This is your opportunity to kind of be a peacock, to fluff out your feathers, to kind of preen a little bit, I think is the right word. You want to not be false, braggadocious. You don't want to come across arrogant, but you want to kind of come across with like, hey, I'm coming to our call with an agenda. I want to know about you and your business, and I want to find a way to help. And here's kind of my methodology. Here's what I've done with other clients. This is a great part to, in an email series, insert a case study, insert a video from you, insert some authority and kind of like rapport building. You want to do something pretty quickly from the point when they give you their information, whether it was the survey and you're not going right for the calendar, or if you're going right for the calendar, you want to start to build authority and get them prepped, because you know what you don't want is a bunch of no-shows. You don't want to have an 80% no-show rate because they scheduled the appointment or they sent you a survey and then you took 2 weeks to actually get around to following up this lead because guess what? You're so busy that you just don't have space or some system. You don't have any automation. You don't have any email automation for leads. So you're just getting to leads when you can. If that's your current system, people go cold. In fact, there's evidence, I'm not suggesting you have to do this, but there's data and research that would suggest that even in the first 15 minutes, you need to start reaching out to these leads, whether it's an email or a text or a phone call. Now, emails and texts can be automated, right? We can automate those things, but many people don't. So they have a lead that's come in and they're like, hey, I have a business. Noah, I've got a business. I owe the IRS money. I need help with bookkeeping. And you never say anything Like, thank you, I've got the information, and I'm going to tell you more about me. And if you want to schedule an appointment, click here. Or if you're already scheduled, here's your time, and I'll talk to you then, with reminders and follow-ups. These are basic things. This is to make sure that the good leads you're getting from your marketing initiatives actually start to, get sticky and show up and get curious. So you're trying to provoke curiosity. You're trying to position authority. You're trying to build trust. You want trust. Because at the end of the day, when you're asking someone to give you money and become a client, it's trust. They're buying you. Make it easy for them to buy you. Make it easy for them to buy your team if you have multiple sales team members. Make it easy to build authority in this gap from a lead to closed. So again, you got found, you got engagement, and now you're building trust. And if you don't have a system or a process, man, that's what we've got in spades. We've got that for our clients, and it just automates the process so our clients don't have to think about it. There's two ways we do this. There's an initial automatic follow-up for us, for our clients. This is just telling you kind of, hey, the Wizard of Oz behind, the giant veil. What are we doing? This is what we're doing. There's an automatic follow-up sequence for all leads. And then there's ongoing email nurture that goes out to all contacts, leads, and customers. So our clients from us are getting weekly emails that we produce. That's not just for new leads that came for the website. This is for everybody. It's value. It's first person. It's long form content. Maybe, Noah, we can show them an email. And if not, no big deal. But I mean, if you've got some in your inbox, I want to show you these emails. They get read. The average for all of our clients over the last 90 days, I believe the average open rate across hundreds of thousands of contacts is like 45 to 46% open rate. That's for our nurture email, freshly written every week by a team of copywriters, not by AI. It's not a newsletter. We don't do newsletters. Don't do them. Build authority and trust. So keep scrolling, Noah. Look how long this email is. Let's just focus on that. This email is long. And guess it what? That's on purpose. People read this. They read it. And they want to trust someone. So this is existing clients and this is leads. Build trust. Be in layman's terms, right? Don't snow them with technical jargon, but in layman's terms, help them know what it is they need to know. Because people are terrified of taxes. They're terrified of messing up their books. They don't know how to do accounting well. And they need someone they can trust. And this is where in email, you can go from I've got a lead to I got engagement to now I'm positioning myself as an authority. This is weekly email content. And then we have, secondarily, an automated sequence that goes to all leads that fill out the form on their site. And that's something that our clients can tweak, but we provide copy out of the gate for them to have. And that is, again, just whenever a lead comes through, hey, Noah Jenks here with Noah Jenks CPA. Thanks for filling out the form on my site. I've got your information. You can schedule with me here. Here's a little bit more information on me, my background. It's just an automated set campaign that can be tweaked, can be edited by our clients, but is out of the gate from us better than nothing and very good at positioning in a relational way. You're trustworthy. Email is your secret weapon and you didn't know it. Maybe that's your takeaway from this session. Email is your secret weapon and you didn't know it. So that's this in-between phase. I got a lead to find me. I got them to do something. That's the engagement bit. I then am following up with them. And now I need to close. I need to have a process to actually land the plane because that's what we're here for. So some leads will call you directly. And now you're in a phone sales situation. We can talk about that. Some leads don't call. They fill out the survey or the form, and they're asking you to follow up with them. They're poking around. They're curious. It's a discovery call, right? So let's get the information to pre-qualify them and know what their problem is. That's back to the survey. Why do we do that in step 2? So that when you go into a discovery call, it's probably the wrong word. It's not really discovery. You already know what they need help with. They own a business. They don't have a bookkeeper. They owe taxes from unfiled tax years. Just a common lead that our clients would get. So you can go into the discovery call actually kind of being a little bit more pointed with like, tell me more about this. Don't waste your time on sales calls trying to figure out basic information you could have found upstream. So let's go back upstream. Get
Mhm.
information so that you can vet and qualify people. And that's kind of a pro for the engagement step that does do pre-qualification versus just get name and email first, right? If you do vet people first, you have more quality sales calls lined up because you've already vetted them a bit. Now, you can go for volume and just get name, email, and phone number first, like we talked about. You can do that, but there's a downside there that you kind of might go into the sales call only having name, email, and phone number. You actually don't even know if they own a business. You don't know if they're, qualified. You don't know if it's a great lead. And it's okay. Like some people that just want leads, that's a win. I'm on the phone. I feel good. I'll do my own process. I'm good at closing. I'm off to the races, Christian. I'm happy. But for those of you that are like, yeah, now I've got a lead who's said, I need help with this. I've been following up via email. Now I'm on a discovery call. And now we're talking about a few things. If they show up, what happens next? If they don't show up, what happens next? If they show up and they're a good lead, what happens next? If they show up and they're a bad lead, what happens next? These are all little if, then that statements that you need to solve for. You need to solve for outcomes so that you can put people in the right buckets. It's really common to have a 2-step sales system. And Noah, I might invite you in to talk about that because you and I have tried both and they both have merit. But the idea of getting on call 1 with a qualified lead, they filled out their survey. Now we're on the call. And I'm saying to myself, I have 30 minutes to learn a little bit more about them, make sure they have money to pay me, make sure they have a problem I can solve for, make sure that this is something that's timely for them, and make sure we're aligned. Does my solution help their problem? Once I've solved for that, and maybe I've found the pain that they have with their existing setup, their existing accountant or lack thereof, what pain is that creating? Now I can solve for pain and say, hey, you fit into a package or a program or an a la carte service. You can ad hoc it if you want and always just let people choose from a menu like they're at Chipotle. I want corn, I want lettuce, I want pico, I want chicken. You can do that. Or you can say, hey, the burrito includes this. Take it or leave it, right? That's not bad. It just is. What do you want your sales process to have? Do you want it to be a free-for-all? Do you want it to have a base package with add-ons? Have you thought through that from a pricing perspective? There's lots of great sales coaches to help you with that. We talk to a lot of them on our podcast. We engage with a lot of them in this space. There's people like, I'll name some names. I don't get any money for sending you to these people, but there's Ryan Lazanis for accountants. There's Jason Stats for tax repairs. There's Michelle Weinstein. We talk with her. There's Roger Connect, who's a great guy as well. There's the CFO Project with Adam Lean. There's a lot of people, depending on what your services are and what your space is. There's Andy Fry. I'd be remiss for not naming Andy Fry. There's Andy Fry with Pronto, and
Dominique.
Andy's going to be tax preparation. There's Dominique for tax planner. So Dominique's tax planning. Andy is tax preparers. Adam Lean is part-time CFOs. Ryan is accountants, CPAs. Jason Stats is going to be more tax preparers again. Michelle Weinstein is kind of a generalist. Like she could work with anyone and help you. So like we love to sync up with those people to help you kind of come up with a plan and then come to us so that we can bring you leads. And I don't get any money for telling you about those people, but I'm just going to say it's worth the money to get coaching and help to work on your sales process. It's worth money to think through these if, then that statements, but we provide a sales pipeline. And that sales pipeline is going to be, there's a lead and here's some stages. And Noah, I want to pull you in here to talk about those stages.
Yeah. Just different stages of sales. It kind of depends on who you're selling to, Christian. I mean, a lot of these are, if you're kind of doing a B2C, business to consumer, this is going to be more of a one-call close. I mean, you kind of know what they need. They need probably tax help. But if you're doing more B2B sales, business to business, and you're trying to get these larger, business firms, bookkeeping, accounting, advisory, well, you really need to come in and you need to find out first, is this even going to be a business that you want to work with? You need to probably do a little bit of discovery, figure out, what's their gross revenue looking like? What are their goals? What are they doing now that has prevented them from getting to those goals? Are they doing any proactive tax planning, or has it all been reactive? But these are all the type questions that you need to make sure you have really dialed in to your sales process. So rather than just going into a sales call blind, and again, the natural inclination of sales is to say, here's what I do. Here's how I can help you. Here's how I can solve your problem. But a lot of sales isn't about what I can do for you. It's what do you need help with? What do you need solved? And just kind of letting them talk. But I would be remiss to say, Christian, with all of this, it's important to talk about the sales process. But most of the people we talk to, Christian, they don't actually have a sales process. They don't have a sales problem. They have a
Correct.
visibility problem. Like the first three things we've talked about, that's where the real issue is, because if you don't rank, if you don't get seen, if your online presence, if your SEO, your GEO, that's AI, generative engine optimization, if you're not ranking in any of these places, if you don't have Google reviews, you don't have a Google business profile, if you're getting outranked by everyone, well, then down here, step 4 at sales, it's really a moot point, and it really doesn't, because you can't make sales unless you're up here. So it's not to say, it's not to trump marketing over other parts of this process, but if you don't have a sales funnel, if you don't have a full pipeline, if you're not getting leads every single week from your website, if you're not having people call from your Google profile, if you're not running ads and getting leads from advertising on a weekly basis, then it doesn't really matter how great you are at sales. I talk to so many people and they're like, I just get me on the phone with someone and I could sell them. And I said, that's great, but nobody's calling you. So it's irrelevant how awesome you may or may not be at sales if you can't get found, if you're not getting leads. And so that's why these things we talked about first, that's critical. There's fast tracks we have to this, because marketing, like we've said, marketing can take a little bit of time. It just depends on what you come to us with. The starting line is not the same. If you come to me with 100 Google reviews, website URL history, all of these different things, well, we can get you ranking faster. But if you don't have a Google profile, no reviews, no website, hey, we can still help, but just understand, like, we still have to play within the circle and the rules of Google's algorithm. Like, it just takes time for Google to respect your online presence. We can run ads. I love running ads. We can get you ranked tomorrow with ads. We can start driving leads and traffic as soon as those ads go live. There's not one way to do this. But if you think honestly to yourself, most of you, it's not that you have a sales problem. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't know how to do sales. It's really, though, that you have a ranking problem. You have a visibility problem. And then you go farther down this pipeline. And you're like, oh, shoot, I actually do have a conversion problem. I don't have anything on my website that does that. No. What about when they come in and they do convert? How am I following up? How am I nurturing? Oh, wait, I do have I'm actually not doing any of that stuff. But we have to start up here at the top. We have to get you visibility. We have to get you traction. You can do some of this on your own. You can go get Google reviews on your own. But this is a big ecosystem that has to be built out. It takes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
work to rank. It doesn't happen accidentally. You don't just happen to rank on page 1. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of very intentional work.
Let's go. So now we're into the stages, yes? Should we look at stages?
Stages.
Okay. If you want to pull up Client Stack, whether it's our account, a test account, if we have one, that's fine. But I don't know if there's a way to blur out stuff within our software here, Noah. But I wanted to show you guys a simple deal. Noah, maybe our snapshot would be the right place to go. Just a generalist. Yeah, there's a couple of snapshots, like the TPM snapshot. I want to show you guys just what our flow looks like in terms of stages for our clients when they work with us. Now, these can be edited and changed, but the idea is I want to drop a lead who found you and engaged with you that you've nurtured. I want to drop them somewhere for you to see. So let's go to opportunities. This is our software called Client Stack. This is not the only thing we do for our clients, but this is at the bottom of the funnel. This is one of the things Client Stack helps with. It's this opportunity. So here you can see just a demo of our lead to client sales opportunity pipeline. So you have ads leads and website leads. You can make other pipelines, as Noah just pulled that drop-down menu and showed you. You could have a new client pipeline. You could have a payroll services pipeline, a bookkeeping pipeline that's like more process-oriented for how you serve clients. But for our purposes, we're focusing on sales, right? So this lead to client pipeline comes standard with all of our clients. And Noah, if you want to drag and drop that card, let's pretend they get scheduled. This could be an automation that they scheduled from our software and Client Stack, which also has calendaring and scheduling, right? So that's native here. You'll see that on the left-hand side, it says calendars. You can use your Gmail or Google or Outlook calendar and sync it with Client Stack. and have that speak with this sales pipeline, that when they get scheduled, it moves them to an appointment, or you can manually drag and drop them as Noah just did. Now, you did the appointment. Let's go and say that they canceled or no-showed. We can put them in this bucket, which is maybe going to trigger automation, or just put them in a space where you know you need to follow up with them and say, hey, you didn't show up. Can you come back? But again, this can be automated. You can automate this and say, hey, I was at the appointment. You weren't there. Let's get rescheduled. If they pick up and they're not interested, it's just a bad fit, you could put them in the no longer interested category. They thought they needed it, then they didn't because they found someone else or something happened. You can drag and drop them to the next column. And Noah, can you pick up the card so we can see the bottom options?
Yeah. And then
Um,
I can talk about some really practical ways that this can get implemented as well.
Perfect. So, sorry, not in the card, but this actually might be good to see too. Just hold the card for a second in your cursor.
Oh,
So
down
see at
here.
the bottom left, lost, abandoned, or won. Those are like ways to clear the pipeline. So if you win the job, the client, put them in the one thing. If you lose them, they were a good lead, but you didn't get them, then put them in lost. No longer interested is maybe like this holding bucket of like, maybe come back to them, or unresponsive. Again, maybe come back to them. And Noah, if you can go to the edit the pipeline, I edit the stages over on that 3 dots on the right-hand side. You know what? Actually, no, it's under pipelines. You're right. It's not
Yeah,
under opportunities.
you know what? They've changed it.
There
They
you
put a
go.
big
There you go.
update in here
So
recently.
go to lead to client pencil on the right. So you can very easily add or adjust stages here. And these stages can have automation, a text, an email, a sequence, a tag. Not all of our clients do this, but this is available to you in ClientStack with an integrated sales calendaring, sales pipeline, and automation. So you'll see on the left-hand side, if you want to put your cursor over it, Noah, there's automation. We wouldn't need to go there. On the very left-hand side of the menu bar for ClientStack, just south of opportunities. So automation is a place where we can build automation for text and emails. This is a full CRM, and then up very top, we've got calendars as well, as I mentioned. So you can build out calendars, and it all syncs. This is what we're talking about when we talk about a sales system. It's not you in your inbox hoping and praying that you remember when people said they needed help. So at a minimum from us, you're going to get a default sales pipeline that you can very easily edit and tweak. What stages do you want? What do you want these columns to say? And you can head back to that main opportunity pipeline, Noah, just for demonstration. And then you can add the value of your leads. So yeah, go to opportunities, and let's go click in the card that you were on, just to kind of give an example. So this lead here, this card, oh, whoops, go back. You went to the contact record.
Yeah.
There we go.
Clicking around too much.
Clicking, clicking, clicking. So it's great as a business owner to see really what you want in your sales pipeline is to work the stages and see the opportunity value. So let's pretend, Noah, that this is a $500 per month client. Let's change the value. And I'm going to risk it and say, let's go to the dashboard. And let's see if there's a funnel for this opportunity pipeline. We might have it in a stage that it won't show up, but there it is, right? You can see on the funnel here, and I think we've got them in a column that isn't represented there.
Let me pull them back.
I
So
just want to demonstrate this, but yeah, Noah, jump in.
So let me give a real practical way that this works, because the thing with this is that this is not a one size fits all. This gets built out for every single person the exact same way. But I'll give you a real practical example. Yeah, I think we would have to have them in a different pipeline. And this is a test account, so bear that in mind. All of the different pieces aren't built out perfectly on this. You get a new lead in. It's an overused adage, I understand, but the fortune is in the follow-up. And if you are not following up with your leads, they will go somewhere else. They did not happen to Google best bookkeeper near me, click on your ad, click on your website, call you, fill out the form, get into this pipeline. They did not do that accidentally or by happenstance. These are typically very warm leads by the time they get to this point. They had to proactively search for the thing that they needed. Our clients show up on page 1, strong reputation. They get clicked through. That's the client I was talking about before. He's gotten, what did I say, 7 leads in the last 4 days or something like that. That's not accidental. That's very purposeful. That's very strategic. But you have to follow up. So you could say, have a lead right here in the website lead, and then maybe you call them, and maybe you want to drag them to another one that says call one complete. And maybe you want then, as soon as you drag them to that pipeline, maybe you want an automated text message. Hey, Christian here from Christian Jones CPA, just tried reaching out, saw you contacted us on the website. Here's a link to our calendar, would love to talk. Quick little SMS text message. And then maybe 30 minutes later, you want a courtesy email coming to them. Great. It cannot, the text message can be automated. 30 minutes later, an email goes out, that gets automated, and then they automatically get moved into the waiting for call to phase. This is how you develop a robust system to where you always know where everybody is in the pipeline, because doing the pencil and paper method
Yeah.
of
That ain't
prospect,
it.
well, it's fine if you got Aunt Flo sending her nephew over to you and says, hey, Steven needs someone to do his taxes because he's 18 now and he needs a tax preparer. Okay, that's fine. Aunt Susie sends, or what did I say? We'll go with Aunt Susie. Aunt Susie sends him over, and that's fine. That's a referral. You're not going to grow and scale your business, most likely based on referrals. You can to a point, but you will hit a glass ceiling with referral-based growth at some point. And if you're listening, if you're stuck with us for this long, we're almost an hour in. We'll wrap this up here in a minute. But if you will hit a glass ceiling from referral-based growth, you just will. You can manage that on a notepad on your desk if you've got one lead coming in a month. That's fine. You can do that. But if you start getting 4, 8, 10 leads a week, 40 leads a month, you can't manage that with a piece of paper and a pencil. Like, you will get lost. You can't manage that with an old school spreadsheet. Maybe you can. That's going to take up a lot of time. Get it automated. Get a system. If you don't scale, or if you want to scale, you have to have the systems in place. You have to have the systems to rank. You have to have the systems to convert. You have to have the systems to follow up. You have to have the systems to nurture. You have to have the systems to get in touch with prospects. If you do not have those, you're going to be banging your head against a wall. Because, and again, I will say this from a different perspective, oftentimes a client will come to us and we get them to rank and they start getting leads. And now we say, okay, cool. We've solved the ranking problem, because that's the problem for most people is visibility. But once we solve the problem for visibility, marketing very oftentimes doesn't solve your problems. It really highlights what your internal processes are. It highlights the problems internally. So it can actually create more issues, because if you start getting, a handful of leads a week, but you don't have any of the processes internally to handle nurture follow-up and prospecting, if you don't have any of that stuff, it can actually create a whole nother internal issue. So you have to have this part. Don't neglect that.
This was really good, Noah. I think this is a great conversation for people to think about and consider for their own firms. That is just a really clear, simple flow. Get found, create a conversion mechanism that produces engagement, follow up with those leads, and think about your sales process and system. Those are the 4 stages we just talked through. And I think that these are some basic, fundamental, foundational elements that every accounting, CPA, tax, bookkeeping firm must have. They're so safe. They're so universal. The nuance of your firm can definitely find its way into these processes of how does your website look, and what questions do you ask, and what's your follow-up, and what calendars are you using? What are you communicating? Like, you can insert your specialization in your unique personality. You can record videos and insert those in these stages. Like, you can add flair and flavor. But the general idea is most people don't have any of this thought through. They don't have it at all. At best, they have a website, and as we showed you at the top, your website is generic and generalized if you have one at all, and it's just not helping. It's not helping. And so we want to address not just the engagement, but then the follow-up to a close. And if that's you and you need help, I'd encourage you to go to taxproleads.com, grab a call with us, and let's talk about your specific firm's desired sales process, lack of leads. How can we help? I hope this is serving you and helping you guys think through how to improve your business in 2026 and make progress.